Pretending to be stupid might sound like the worst advice you could ever get from a serious philosopher. This approach to intelligence may look like a path to social suicide, but it's not what you think. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most brilliant minds in philosophy, actually proposed a counterintuitive strategy that could be your secret weapon in navigating the complex world of human interactions. Imagine a world where showing your full intelligence is like walking around with a giant target on your back. Schopenhauer realized something profound. Being perceived as too smart can be more dangerous than being perceived as average. Throughout his life, he observed how people react to intelligence, and it's not always with admiration. In fact, most people feel threatened by someone who appears significantly smarter than themselves. The great philosopher understood a fundamental truth about human nature that most people miss. When you constantly demonstrate your intellect, you trigger a range of negative emotions in others: jealousy, insecurity, and even hostility. People don't typically welcome someone who makes them feel intellectually inferior. Instead, they tend to resist, criticize, and sometimes actively work to undermine someone they perceive as too intelligent. Schopenhauer's advice wasn't about dumbing yourself down completely, but about strategically concealing your true intellectual capacity. He believed that true wisdom lies not in proving how smart you are, but in understanding how to navigate social interactions effectively. By intentionally appearing slightly less intelligent than you actually are, you create a kind of social camouflage that allows you to observe, learn, and influence without triggering defensive reactions. This approach is more than just a social trick. It's a nuanced strategy of intellectual survival. Schopenhauer saw it as a way to protect your genuine insights and maintain your ability to think critically without constantly facing unnecessary conflict. By appearing less threatening, you give yourself the freedom to listen, to learn, and to choose when and how to express your true intelligence. The real power of Schopenhauer's advice becomes clear when we understand the complex social dynamics of intelligence. If intelligent people always showed their full intellectual capacity, they would find themselves trapped in a minefield of social challenges that could systematically destroy their relationships, professional opportunities, and personal connections. Consider the subtle ways intelligence can backfire in everyday life. In professional environments, being the smartest person in the room is rarely a recipe for success. Colleagues often feel threatened by someone who constantly demonstrates superior knowledge. Managers might perceive an overly intelligent employee as a potential challenge to their authority, leading to professional isolation. Promotions and opportunities frequently go to those who can collaborate effectively, not those who simply know the most. The workplace is just one arena where strategic intellectual restraint proves crucial. In academic settings, researchers and scholars who constantly showcase their brilliance often struggle to secure funding, build collaborative teams, or gain support for their ideas. The most successful academics are those who can communicate complex ideas in accessible ways, who listen as much as they speak, and who make their colleagues feel valued and understood. Personal relationships face even more significant challenges. Romantic partners, friends, and family members can quickly become uncomfortable around someone who appears intellectually superior. The constant need to prove one's intelligence creates a barrier to genuine connection. People don't want to feel intellectually inadequate in their closest relationships. They seek understanding, not a constant reminder of their limitations. Schopenhauer recognized a fundamental truth about human psychology. Most people are fundamentally insecure about their intelligence. When someone consistently demonstrates superior knowledge, it triggers a defensive response. People may react with jealousy, resentment, or active resistance. It's a psychological defense mechanism that protects their self-esteem and sense of worth. The stakes go beyond individual interactions. Social groups, from friend circles to professional networks, often have unwritten rules about intellectual display. Those who consistently appear too smart can be systematically marginalized, excluded from key conversations, or viewed as difficult to work with. It's a form of social self-preservation that punishes those who threaten the group's collective sense of intelligence. This doesn't mean hiding your intelligence completely. Instead, Schopenhauer proposed a nuanced approach of strategic revelation. By carefully choosing when and how to display your intellectual capabilities, you create a space of mutual respect and understanding. You become someone people want to be around, someone they trust, someone who can guide and influence without triggering defensive mechanisms. The true genius of this approach lies in its understanding of human nature. Intelligence is not just about knowing things, it's about understanding people. By moderating how you present your intelligence, you gain a powerful tool for observation, connection, and influence. You transform from someone who simply knows more to someone who can truly understand and work with others. Diving deep into the practical applications of Schopenhauer's philosophy reveals a sophisticated approach to intellectual interaction that goes far beyond simple social manipulation. The first key to mastering this art is developing a nuanced approach to active listening, a skill that is both an intellectual strategy and a profound form of human connection. In professional settings, this approach transforms how you navigate complex social landscapes. Imagine a business meeting where most participants are eager to showcase their knowledge. Instead of immediately pointing out flaws or demonstrating your superior understanding, you position yourself as a curious learner. Your seemingly naive questions become powerful tools of insight. By asking carefully crafted questions that appear simple but are actually strategically designed, you guide the conversation without threatening anyone's ego. Take negotiation as a prime example. Skilled negotiators rarely display their full intellectual hand immediately. They ask questions, listen carefully, and create an environment where the other party feels comfortable sharing information. This isn't about being passive. It's about being strategically curious. You're collecting information, understanding perspectives, and finding the most effective way to achieve your objectives without direct confrontation. The same principle applies to creative and collaborative environments. In research teams, design studios, or innovative companies, the most valuable team members are often those who can draw out the best ideas from others. By appearing slightly less informed, you create space for colleagues to share their thoughts freely. You become a catalyst for collective intelligence, someone who can synthesize ideas and guide thinking without dominating the conversation. Personal relationships offer another rich terrain for this approach. When you don't immediately correct someone or showcase your superior knowledge, you create a profound sense of connection. People feel heard, respected, and valued. It's counterintuitive, but by sometimes playing down your intelligence, you become infinitely more approachable. You transform from a potential threat to a trusted confidant. Consider the art of conversation as a delicate dance of intellectual exchange. Schopenhauer understood that true wisdom often lies in knowing when to speak and when to listen. This isn't about hiding your intelligence. It's about choosing the most effective moment and method of expression. Like a chess grandmaster who doesn't reveal all their moves at once, you're constantly gathering information, understanding deeper motivations, and finding the most impactful way to contribute. The strategy extends to conflict resolution and personal growth. When you approach interactions with a sense of curiosity rather than a need to prove yourself, you open up entirely new possibilities for understanding. You become someone who can navigate complex social situations with grace and insight. People begin to seek out your perspective not because you're the smartest person in the room, but because you make them feel understood. This approach requires remarkable self-control and emotional intelligence. It's a sophisticated form of social navigation that transforms intelligence from a weapon into a tool of connection. You're not diminishing yourself, You're expanding your ability to understand, influence, and work with others. The most powerful form of intelligence, Schopenhauer suggests, is not the ability to be right, but the ability to create understanding. Beyond the immediate social benefits, Schopenhauer's advice reveals a profound philosophical exploration of human intelligence, perception, and social dynamics. This approach is far more than a mere tactical strategy. It represents a deep philosophical understanding of how knowledge, communication, and human relationships truly function. Throughout history, the most influential leaders, diplomats, and thinkers have intuitively understood this principle. Consider diplomatic negotiations, where the ability to appear less threatening while subtly guiding conversations is an art form. Skilled diplomats often downplay their knowledge, asking seemingly simple questions that reveal complex insights. They understand that true influence comes not from displaying intelligence, but from creating an environment where others feel comfortable sharing their true thoughts and motivations. Political leaders have long employed similar strategies. The most effective politicians are rarely those who appear the most intellectually superior. Instead, they are those who can connect with people, make them feel understood, and guide collective thinking without appearing to dictate terms. They create a sense of shared understanding, drawing out the best ideas from those around them while maintaining a deceptively simple exterior. In the world of scientific discovery, this approach has been equally powerful. Many groundbreaking researchers have found that the path to innovation often lies in asking seemingly naive questions that challenge existing paradigms. By appearing less informed, they create space for new ideas to emerge. They disarm potential defensive reactions, allowing for more open and creative thinking. The philosophical depth of this approach challenges our fundamental understanding of intelligence. We're traditionally taught that being smart means having the right answer immediately, speaking the loudest, or proving others wrong. Schopenhauer's perspective turns this notion completely on its head. Intelligence becomes less about the accumulation of knowledge and more about the ability to understand, connect, and guide human thinking. This strategy reveals a sophisticated form of empathy that goes far beyond simple emotional intelligence. It's about recognizing the complex psychological dynamics that govern human interactions. People learn and grow best when they feel respected, heard, and valued, not when they're constantly reminded of their intellectual limitations. By strategically moderating how you display your intelligence, you create a space of psychological safety where genuine learning and connection can occur. The approach speaks to a fundamental truth about human nature: our deep-seated need to feel valued and understood. When you appear slightly less intelligent, you're actually demonstrating a higher form of social and emotional intelligence. You're showing an ability to prioritize connection over correction, understanding over being understood. It's a profound act of intellectual humility that requires tremendous confidence and self-awareness. Consider the broader implications for social progress. Many of the world's most intractable problems, from political polarization to professional conflicts, stem from a desire to prove intellectual superiority. By adopting Schopenhauer's approach, we create the possibility of more collaborative, empathetic forms of problem-solving. Intelligence becomes a tool for collective growth rather than individual validation. Ultimately, this philosophy suggests that true wisdom is not about knowing the most, but about understanding the most. It's about recognizing the complex web of human motivations, fears, and aspirations. By pretending to be slightly less intelligent, you gain the most powerful intellectual tool of all: the ability to see the world from multiple perspectives, to connect deeply with others, and to guide thinking without triggering defensive reactions. As we reach the culmination of Schopenhauer's profound insight, we confront a transformative philosophy that challenges everything we thought we knew about intelligence and human interaction. Pretending to be stupid is not a form of self-diminishment, but a sophisticated art of social and intellectual navigation that requires extraordinary self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and a deep understanding of human psychology. The true challenge lies not in the concept, but in its implementation. This approach demands a level of self-control and insight that goes far beyond typical social skills. It's a delicate balance between maintaining your intellectual integrity and creating space for genuine connection. You're not lowering your intelligence, but elevating your ability to understand and influence human dynamics. This requires tremendous confidence. The confidence to step back, to listen more than you speak, to ask questions instead of providing immediate answers. Consider the personal transformation this approach demands. It challenges our most fundamental social instincts. The desire to prove ourselves, to be recognized as intelligent, to win arguments. Instead, it asks us to prioritize understanding over being understood. In a world that often rewards loud, aggressive displays of knowledge, this becomes a radical act of wisdom. You become a strategic thinker, someone who can guide and influence without triggering defensive reactions or intellectual ego battles. The universal applicability of this philosophy is its most powerful aspect. From professional environments to personal relationships, from complex problem-solving to everyday conversations, the ability to strategically moderate how you display your intelligence becomes a form of social superpowers. You transform into someone people genuinely want to be around, not because you're the smartest person in the room, but because you make others feel valued, heard, and understood. This is not about manipulation or hiding your true self. It's about developing a more nuanced, empathetic approach to human interaction. Schopenhauer's advice is ultimately a profound meditation on the nature of true intelligence. It suggests that wisdom is not about how much you know, but about your ability to connect, to understand, to guide without force. In a world that often mistakes volume for intelligence, the ability to listen deeply, to ask insightful questions, and to help others discover their own insights is the most sophisticated form of smart. As you move forward, challenge yourself to embrace this approach. The next time you're in a meeting, a conversation, or a challenging interaction, resist the immediate impulse to showcase everything you know. Instead, listen more carefully. Ask questions that reveal deeper understanding. Create space for others to share their thoughts and insights. Watch how this subtle shift transforms your relationships, your professional interactions, and your understanding of the world. Schopenhauer's hidden advice is more than a social strategy. It's a philosophy of human connection. It reminds us that true intelligence is not about being right, but about being perceptive. It's about recognizing the complex humanity in every interaction, understanding that every person has insights to offer, and that the most powerful form of intelligence is the ability to draw out the best in others. In a world that often values noise over nuance, this approach becomes a revolutionary act of wisdom, a way of moving through the world that is at once humble and profoundly influential.